I'm Kyran Smith, so I'm the head of ICT and Computer Science in the secondary education department of Dovercourt International School. I joined here in August 2019, so I'm still fresh in the eye of Singapore and enjoying the fantastic opportunity teaching your children in ICT and Computer Science. So if I haven't met you before, it's nice to meet you. And during the workshop, if there's any questions, I would suggest if we can just refrain from unmuting yourself and asking during the actual workshop. You can ask the question. We'll have some Q&A towards the end of the workshop, so if there are any questions that you want to ask, but also you can leave it in the chat. I can't guarantee I'm going to get through every single item on the chat before the end of the during the workshop, but I'll endeavour to answer as many questions as possible, and if necessary, I will email you back with the necessary resources. Okay, so I'm just about to share screen and share the resources that I'm going to use for this session. Okay. Right, so you should be able to see the presentation for the workshop on your screen. If not, let my colleague know, and she will let me know that's the case. Okay, so the workshop focus today, we want to basically, as the email I previously sent 2 weeks ago, we just basically, as a school body, we want to support you the best as we can in your homes, and to basically empower. Well, we're empowering our learners here with the knowledge to be able to be safe. Essentially, they're your experts at home, and basically we want your children to be, well, the experts and to support you essentially in the safety. But also, if you're feeling that you're not confident to be able to ensure that safety for your child at home, again, this is a good place to start. And again, I don't take for granted that every parent has that knowledge in the first place. So do not feel, as I go through this workshop, that you have to be at a certain place, starting point. The point of this is, regardless where your starting point is, we're here to help you. Okay, so the workshop areas we're going to look through is we're going to look at the dangers and risks associated with the use of technology and the strategies to support the safe use at home. So there will be some practical tips I can give you that you can maybe use at home. Not everything I would suggest on the PowerPoint might not be right for you to use in your home, but there's some ideas you may want to use. And then the social emotional well-being. My colleague who was supposed to be here, Mr. Vermont, was supposed to go on that bullet point and look at the social emotional. I'm going to talk a bit briefly about it, but there's any concerns about the social emotional well-being about your child online, you still have the ability to contact the school, our school counsellors on that. Okay. So, key 4 issues using the internet at this moment in time. Conduct. I mean, again, this is not specific to children itself, it's every individual in society. Conduct, the content that's available on the site, on apps, sites, and so on different devices. The contact individuals are having with other individuals online. Commercialism that is engaged by these different apps and these different websites as well. I mean, although a lot of the presentation is aimed at the child, again, we as individuals who are users of the technology and use the internet, we can be at risk of those things as well. So, however, as part of our teaching, we empower our kids to be able to know the risks, but also what to do about it. So as part of our curriculum, we deliver not just in the secondary department, but I know my primary colleagues in the primary team, that's the core, the core areas we actually make sure our learners are empowered with. They've got the knowledge to be able to identify when something's not okay. Although they may not have that detailed knowledge, what to do, well, exactly what the actual issue is, but they know if something's unsure, they can ask those questions to a trusted adult who can then step in on them and has the knowledge to be able to help them to overcome those issues. So conduct, children may be at risk because of their own behavior, for example, sharing too much information. Again, this doesn't not extend to what they type to other people. It's sometimes their pictures. I mean, our learners sometimes are shocked. I mean, you may understand this, but some of our learners don't understand this at the start, is taking pictures of their friends with their school logo on and posting it online without adequate privacy settings. That inadvertently gives away their location, what school they go to, what they look like. Those little small things, there's people in society. Those little pieces of information is enough to take those awful incidents to happen. Content. So a lot of thank you for those parents that who filled in the survey. That was really useful. And one of the areas which parents wanted to know more information is about how to curb or block their child's access to inappropriate material or age inappropriate material, not relevant for their age group yet. So the internet, again, it's a force for good as well as can be used in the correct way. Again, we can't be always there in order to stand behind the back of a child all the time. And that's one of the key messages I say to my team and my fellow colleagues in the staff body. We can't sit behind a child's back at all the time. However, what we can do is empower them with the knowledge to know this is not right. What do I need to do to also to help, to get away from this situation? And at home, it needs to be in the same situation. And one of the key areas which I'm going to go in the workshop is communication, which I'll get to in a moment. Contact, again, contact by cyberbullying is such a, I'd say, a common feature that every child is experiencing, not just, it's in education itself and beyond. I mean, cyberbullying in workplaces as well, in adults. It's so easy to use these communication tools for these reasons and for malicious purposes. But does your child know how to adequately set a privacy settings? Do you as parents know how to check for privacy settings? So they're the areas we're going to go through. Commercialism. Now, there's in the news, sometimes you may hear, I mean, not regularly, that, overuse of technology, addiction to gaming, not just video games, but using the internet. That's a prevalent area that's on the rise. And again, we talk about it as a theme, not only in IT, but as part of their PHSE learning curriculum at Dovercourt. But some learners are not aware of hidden costs. I mean, the problem with these apps and these little free games, these companies that develop these games, they make it so enticing that to unlock these extra features, you need to pay for this extra in order to, again, we talk about that in the lessons, that's not, that could, although those things are not good and bad, but that can lead to these consequences. Sometimes I know parents have got $1,000 bills because unaware that their child has been making these in-app purchases. So, those things I'm going to go through today. How can you make sure those filters and those settings are in place to ensure those things don't happen? But some of you may have those facilities in place already, so those don't happen. Right, so key areas. I can't cover every single e-safety risk. However, I'm going to go through the key ones again, which are more pertinent these times, but there are other areas, and I'll identify some useful resources you can go in your own time to look into if you want to have a broader knowledge of the dangers and risks. So again, these are the sort of things we cover in learning as part of the curriculum in ICT, but the PHSA curriculum as well. So sexting. The only thing I want to say with the sexting thing, as part of also knowing what it is, we have learners do need to be aware that they're breaking the law, regardless of their age. In the UK, and I would say in Singapore as well, having access pictures that are inappropriate and having other pictures of similar children of their age, that's child pornography. They're breaking the law. Okay, so we teach them the legal obligations against these different areas of risks. So sexting, so it's using of technology to actually not just pictures, but also comments and so on over the internet and mobile devices. Phishing. Now, this is not just within for a child, everyone's at risk of this, phishing. So this is a type of cyber attack which uses emails, which is the typical form of this attack, in order to trick people into giving away their personal information. So we need to be aware, and again, we train our learners to be able to spot when something's a scam. But again, I'm sure all of you get dozens of emails every single day. Not everything official, some of them are unofficial, but we just need to be aware that it's not every single email may not be true or may be disguised as a cyber attack. Grooming. Now, this is a key area which sometimes our learners are sometimes at risk. They are speaking to people online. They don't even notice it. They know. One thing I keep repeatedly say to the learners when they're using apps like Snapchat, Instagram, I'm probably going to say sites that they never use, Facebook, and so on, you need to have adequate settings. You should not be having your profile open to the public, because basically they've got an open book to your personal information, and it can establish contact for malicious means. Cyberbullying, as I said, again, we test no tolerance in Dovercourt. Again, those people, if we get wind of this happening between groups of pupils, we will act accordingly to those things. But again, as parents, if you're aware of those things, I know that you're contacting the school of those over cyberbullying. Thank you. Continue to do that, because we're here to empower them as well as teaching it, but also show the consequences of those, of what they've done as well. Catfishing. So catfishing, again, this is just a technical online jargon term for basically those people, those individuals online who create a fake persona online. So again, we make sure our learners here at Dovercourt are aware that not everybody who they speak online may not be the person who they are. So they've got to be, again, hence why they shouldn't have their privacy settings should be set to friends and family only, and keep their profile private to evade these people who are catfishers actually taking these opportunities. Again, it just limits the risk they are online. Again, I'm not trying to scaremonger you as parents of the internet. I'm not. Okay, it's a wonderful tool for learners to have and individuals to have access to, but we just need to be aware of these dangers and the repercussions of their choices online. So one of the most important areas I want to just go through in this session today is whatever I can give you today in terms of tips and techniques and tools, this is probably the most important area I can stress. Communication is key with your child. That's the most important line of defense. Even as a teacher, for a child to come to me and tell them they have a problem, having that open dialogue is going to be key. If a child doesn't tend to actually tell you these problems, then in a sense they'll be carrying on and so on. We are oblivious to what's happening. So that's probably, it's the best tool. It's non-technical that we can be doing it as well in school as well as at home. So, that's a quote from the Singapore government on their advice on cyber safety and dealing with e-safety at home. So I would say having open, honest communication. Again, I'm not telling you how to parent, but these are key things that will help you eliminate these risks at home. So talk to your child regularly. How often do you speak to your child? What sites have you been going to? what's your favorite videos you're going on YouTube and so on. Having aware of that, what they're doing as well. I know you ask, how was your day at school? Can you broaden that further? What sites have you been going to? And so on. I mean, there's different tactics you can use here. You can actually go onto their phone. You can go onto their actual laptops and look at their search history. However, which is a way there's a methodology you can use to actually know what they're doing. However, you can engage in a conversation with your child. Again, when I give students a question in the lesson, I get them to think about what they've done. When they say something, I put some further questions to get them to think about what they've said. Sometimes they need that opportunity to have a dialogue with you. Again, that helps them to process what they're doing, because not always what they're doing online, they don't see the risk. They're very oblivious to what they're doing. Be supportive and always open-minded. Again, there's repercussions for choices. I mean, if they, as part of them joining Dovercourt, they have to sign a contract. I mean, they don't physically sign it themselves, but they are going to follow the safe use of the internet and the network. If they fall below that, then there's repercussions for their choices on that part. But again, we put those measures in place to ensure that your safety for your child in school. I mean, another idea is, can you put rules together about usage, how you use the internet at home? Again, it worked for some families. I mean, it may not be appropriate in your home. Is there a usage agreement? Okay, be honest about the reasons why you think he or she, what they've done is inappropriate. I mean, again, when you talk about what they've done, again, use that same tax when you're talking about e-safety and what they use the internet, or how long they've played video games. Do you think that's something, do you think that's appropriate? But again, I just want to stress communication is key, and it will be that's the ultimate line of defense against, I would say, the risks of online. Again, as parents, you may not be aware of, or you may not have the time to be able to deal with these situations. However, you do have us as a school. There's websites and resources which I'm going to make you aware of in this session that you can go to in case there's a problem. We're here as, again, not just as the head of ICT and computer science, but as a teacher and fellow advocate for e-safety. I'm more than happy to help where I can and give you that knowledge and support where you need it. So, I mean, for those parents, I know on the actual survey, some parents were unsure how to actually gauge a conversation with their child in terms of e-safety. I mean, I'm sure you're doing every single bullet point I've put, which is on here. I'm sure you did this anyway, but I mean, not talk about specific usage, but how was your day? What did you do with your friends today, and so on. I mean, it's not that different, some of these questions, like these conversation prompts, just making it specific and putting time towards what sites have you been on today? What did you join online? And you get, at the end of the day, they're experts. I want you to essentially, we teach them in school, but get them to show them what they know about e-safety. I mean, again, some of you are not as technically minded on how to check these settings, but your child knows how to do this. So ask your child, how do you know, can you tell me how do you set up a safe profile? Can you show me that your privacy settings on Instagram or on whatever on social network platform is safe? Get them to show you, because they know how to use these tools. And again, it gives you that awareness. And again, it's a good dialogue, establishing a good dialogue between you and your child. Again, I mean, if I talk about my parents, again, I was helping them quite a lot and still doing it with banking and so on. Use your child as an expert at home. They want to be used in that capacity. Help, again, inadvertently get them to help you for your problems, but it also shows you that they have understanding and awareness of e-safety and the risks and how to deal with these problems. So one key area which I want to stress, and again, I've tried to pick an image which a picture graphic, which is less technical, but I just want to go through this virtual private networks. So for non-technical parents that don't know what this is, so those parents at school, we have block lists, so which enables students from not accessing inappropriate sites, stops that. However, VPNs, they are useful because they increase the privacy of your data when you're sending online and prevent surveillance. However, VPNs are risky because they bypass firewalls. So the firewall contains all these block lists and what allowed lists and block lists. Now, we've had incidents where children in school have managed to get on this, and we dealt with these issues straight in there. But at home, for those parents that have these block lists, okay, a child can easily go on a VPN, okay, and actually bypass through your block list or your whitelist and blacklist, and they can get to these sites without any restriction in the first place. And then that's hence why communication is key. Whatever tool I can give you, again, towards the younger years, they're probably going to be less aware of these tools. But again, our learners, my learners I have, and your children, they're curious. They want to learn more. They want to be able to use technology in more innovative ways. Again, I can't just say to the child, you can't use this, you can't use that. However, my job as a teacher is just tell them what the benefits are and what are the risks of their choices if they use these tools inappropriately. Again, at home, I just want to make you aware of these, that there's free VPNs which they can access from home, which again, that can circumvent through the firewalls and block lists that have been put in place in the first place, okay? So key thing is have that conversation. Get you to ask a child, what is a VPN? Do you know the risks of it? I mean, all these materials, I just want to also just reiterate this, all the materials from this workshop, even this presentation and the other resources, they'll be available on the parent portal. So you'll have access to this. So you can, if you need to have those question pointers or you need facts on these things from the actual survey, they'll be available on the parent portal. So VPNs, and again, that's something we're continually reiterating with our learners, not just in the younger years, but the older years as well, that VPNs, yes, it's useful. I can access Netflix from the UK, I can watch shows from the UK, I can watch shows from the US. Yes, it's got advantages on that part. However, it's given the open world, it's an uncensored internet which they have access to. Now, one of the tools I want to show, I mean, some of you may know this, some of you may not. So it's Google Family Link. So this is a free tool. This is available for Android users as well as iOS. So again, for those people that don't have Android devices or iOS, either, you still can use it. It's a free app. Now, I just want to, as a disclaimer, it doesn't fully block every single content. However, you can set up filters on this app to prevent access to these sites. However, the key things with this tool is you can view their activity. So as a parent on your phone, you can check, you have to link the devices. So I will show you where to get a guide to how to set this up if you wish to use this tool. You can look what they've done on their phone, not just what sites they've accessed, what apps have they used, how long have they used that app. You can manage what they can download on their app. You can approve it and block them from downloading. You can also, you can set the permissions of the app so they can't send messages to people they don't know. If it's a communication tool, they can't upload images. Not every single, this Google Family Link will not do every single filter. However, it will give you standards for those different apps. You can set limits to usage time. You can lock their device at certain times where you need them not to use their device. I mean, and the last one here is see where they are. Again, in my view on these things, again, it's useful to know where they are, location, but again, like any tool, it's a third-party app. Again, Google's not going to use this information appropriately, okay, because they're bound by these rules as well, and if they break them, again, there's got repercussions. But the only thing I would just, for the last bullet point, the location services, just be aware that their location has been, for this app, it's encrypted, but like anything, there's risks. So I would say, last bullet point, I'm not keen, if I was a parent, to use that one. Again, I would say be able to ring my child, or if to know where they are by message, probably the way I would actually go, but that's the facility you have for that tool. So you can link with this app, you can register your child's different devices. You don't have to be just their phone, their tablet, and then you can set those permissions as per your family. So social media checklist. I call this a checklist because these are things that, not just as a parent, but as your child and as my students, I want them to be aware what they should do when actually on their social media sites or the different platforms they use. So check the privacy settings. Always check it's on private, or set it with friends and family only, but I would prefer private, and you would directly allow people to have access to you as friends. As parents, I think it's very important that you check the settings regularly. The reason why is because these platforms, they update their apps frequently, and sometimes those settings change, and they don't tell you these changes, which I know is a bit negligent on their part, but they don't always. So I would just say to please check those settings. Again, we reiterate this message with our learners as well, but ask your child, let's look at your privacy settings together. Let's check that's all safe. Be careful who they accept as friends. Again, this is a message we all iterate as a team, but again, enforce that. Is everyone they speak to online, are they friends they know of? Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, if they're video calling somebody, they can just, with a phone, they can take screenshots on a phone of their conversations and so on. Again, that's good as evidence base for cyberbullying. But again, they have that ability of a person they don't know to take screenshots. Setting personal rules about what to post. Again, this comes down to your family agreement. Again, and we talk about this in school, but again, at home, what's your stance on this? Again, get to a child, have those discussions with a child. What do you think happens if you post this information to people that you don't know? Again, one of the key things, a new message we've introduced this year is their digital footprint, their reputation. A lot of people have lost their jobs because of what they posted 5 or 10 years ago. It's come back to them. Like, the same message is whatever you post online is you lose control of it. It's no longer under your domain. So we get our learners to think about their reputation online. Do you want, if they're applying for a job, do you want the employer to see all this inappropriate use of the internet, or what they do online as well as in their physical activities? So again, everything online is, again, especially in court proceedings, they can use your digital footprint, your reputation online as evidence. So what I have an example of here is TikTok. So the TikTok privacy settings. So again, it's something our learners are, I'll say all our learners are using, but again, it's the latest craze. So tips, I would just say to you, if you, as parents, not just only for TikTok, just review the privacy settings, just check it's friends and family only, but in particular with TikTok is set it as a private account, undo that settings here where it says, allow others to find me, take that off. So every single app you have, my advice for you as parents, when you're actually going through your child's use on their phone, their tablet, or their laptop is, although there's apps which can block multiple sites, but the most important thing I would suggest to you is to go in each individual app and check the privacy settings, because some of these collaboration apps, they don't fully enforce these filters. The best way I would suggest to you is to go into each individual app and make sure that the correct settings are in place. That's the ultimate tool you can, would say, suggestion for you. Just do an audit as such to make sure. And another thing, I mean, with cybersecurity knowledge, is make sure the app is up to date. Sometimes I've noticed in some learners' phones, when they ask me questions, the app is maybe 6 months out of date. Have they gone recently? Have they gone to the App Store of the Android App Store? Have they gone into the Apple App Store to make sure that app has the latest security updates? Again, with your own laptops, has your laptop got the latest updates? Again, cyber criminals, the point of these updates, they close gaps, security flaws, they fix bugs, which potentially can lead to risks, security risks. So key things I would suggest to you, as not just only for e-safety, but just your own protection when you're making purchases online, have conversations over online. I mean, as a society, we're using technology more than ever, and a lot of you are working from home now and exchanging sensitive information as part of your job. So key tips I would say to you, just make sure everything's up to date. You can search, I would say, if you're using Windows, I mean, it normally is automatically, you can search update in the search bar. Same with the app, those use Macs, you can do that same process. But I would suggest ask your child, and again, that's something I will do again before we go for the holidays. I'll ask my team to actually reiterate that message, check their laptops are all up to date with the latest fix updates. But again, you can reiterate that message for us at home. So they're the acknowledgements. So some useful links that you can actually look on. ChildNet, which is a fantastic website. I would suggest that for you. If I click on this link, I'm just going to change the share screen. So I can just show you the site, and then I'll take any questions you may have. I think there are some questions already on the group chat. Okay, so if I show you ChildNet. So ChildNet International, I would say this is a UK web-based site, but again, it's an international project. A lot of international schools pull into this resource. Again, it has a parent and carer section. So if there's anything dying question that you need to know or are unsure of, okay, there's a toolkit there. Advice on parental controls. There's some hot topics. Again, it covers most things I would suggest, as a parent, I would say that you need to know. But again, as a school, we're here to help you and empower you to ensure your family is safe at home. Again, so if there's any questions, which I'll start with the messages already on the group chat, we will begin. So thank you for those people attending. Again, if there's any questions, fire away. I'll start with the messages. Okay. For the first one, first message, which is at 9:26. Is it possible to have a copy of the presentation? Absolutely. That will be available on the parent portal. Everything I went through today, even the recording of the session, will be available from today. So if there's anything you want to play back, you're able to do that. So that'll be available at the end of the day. Our marketing team will prepare that for you. Again, the same question. Zoe's thankfully answered that question already, but again, I repeat it. But yeah, if there's any dying questions, I mean, you can type the questions. I'm happy for a parent at a time to unmute themselves, but I think it'd probably be easier if you type in the chat. I'm able to answer the questions. Okay, so Kyran, apologies if I get these names. Robert, do you share some of these slides with the students? I mean, I haven't shared this specific slide with our learners, but we have our planned curriculum slides in this, and we have recently done in our last drop down day, which was just before October, we had a whole year 7 and year 8. Well, year 8 had a whole day on e-safety. So, and again, we've got Internet Safety Day in February, which we're going to reiterate all these messages. At the end of the day, technology is changing every day. New risks arise. And again, it's my job, not just my job, it's the school's job, again, to make sure we're at our curriculum and we are ensuring that child is safe at school with the use of technology, not just their personal safety, but their online safety as well. Okay. IPC classes. Okay, I'm going to try my best to answer the primary school questions. I know what they do for the e-safety, but if there's anything I can't answer, I will pass it on to my colleague. So Katie Corns, who's the head of primary computing. So she's aware of these questions as well. So I go to it. So absolutely. So e-safety is taught from reception age up to year 6 and even up to year 13. Even my year 13 gets these talks. They say to me, "Oh, sir, we know this already," but no, I don't take for granted. I don't take reiterating this message. E-safety is not just for children, it's for everybody. Everyone's at risk online if we don't have adequate we don't use technology responsibly. Okay, what a good question. What do you think is a reasonable age for a child to have a mobile phone? What a controversial question. I have no answer to that question, actually. I sometimes get that question from my colleagues. And I would say, if I pull into an anecdotal example, if you ask a child, do you want to have a mobile phone? I mean, they might just say yes instantly, but have an adult, let's say, a adult conversation with them. How would you use the phone? Because I mean, there's a colleague in school without naming them. Their child actually doesn't want a phone. I just want to play with my friends outside. And they know, because maybe it might be what we've taught them and what they know of what problems people get online. They just don't want that yet. They want to still be children and actually have fun. Again, I can't say a definite age for having a mobile phone. I think as parents, the dialogue you need to have with your child, or you decide what's appropriate. But again, regardless whether you give them a phone or not, we still have to teach them about e-safety, so they will know, they still have the same message how to use that device correctly. But I would also reiterate, so Facebook, I know it makes me sound very old, but again, I still use it. No, I'm not really an Instagrammer myself. But yeah, there's a legal age for social media, so age 13 or above. But again, with these sites, you can easily lie about your age. But with these verification tools they have in place, these sites now, it is getting harder for learners to create profiles which is not truthful about their age. But again, the most powerful tool is you being aware and having that dialogue and communication with your child on those things and how they use those tools. Next one. Excellent. Yeah, agreed. So it's something they get once a week. I'll say once a week. Might not be an hour talk about e-safety, but did you hear this on the news about this person about online? It's very important. Again, it does tie into e-safety. So we have a Google Wi-Fi router at home. It allows me to tag some devices under a child post. Do you think that monitors traffic? Again, it depends what you're monitoring for. Again, with the Google, I mean, with these, again, good thing about tracking and monitoring what your child's doing online, their activities, you can have that conversation. Johnny, I've noticed that you went on these sites. Why did you need to go on these sites? I mean, you can have those, I mean, that's where I would say the powerful conversations of knowing their activities. You can have those conversations with your child again. And if you need to add those blocks in the first, add those blocks where necessary. And And I just want to also reiterate the message with VPNs. I know with these Google Wi-Fi routers, with VPNs, you still can bypass the protections that you have that Google Wi-Fi routers put in place. Okay, so I just want to reiterate that, Ria. So again, communication is key. Okay, so my son in year 6, many friends have WhatsApp. Again, WhatsApp is also available on laptops. So I know some learners also have that downloaded on their laptops as well, WhatsApp. It's not just contained to on a mobile. So I would say it's a useful tool. I use WhatsApp. But again, as what I said, reiterate the messages, they need to be kind. They don't use the tool for cyberbullying. It's used there to communicate and to stay in touch with people. Again, whatever they post on WhatsApp, again, they will potentially lose control. They can delete a message, but it doesn't stop the person receiving that WhatsApp to screenshot quickly before that message is removed. So again, with WhatsApp, just reiterate what's good etiquette when communicating online as what we say what is good etiquette online. Absolutely. I mean, again, message is often better when it comes from teachers. I would say, again, I would say it's a partnership. It's teachers and parents together that enforces effective online responsibility. At the end of the day, I would say our staff in at Dover, we go above and beyond for our learners and so on. But I would say what's the most powerful tool we can do in terms of e-safety is that we do it together. It's a joint effort. Okay, if one person is lacking in knowledge, we can support each other. Okay. Next part. So thank you for all these lovely questions. You really put me on the spot, which is good. Again, the mobile phone one, follow on from the mobile phone. Okay. At the end of the day, I can't tell you what's right and wrong with a mobile phone. Again, I would say if that's something that you're inclined to give, set some ground rules, how to use that mobile phone. It's something, again, it's what you think is right and wrong, but just really make sure they're safely using the device. Absolutely. So kids are so smart, they can change settings and delete history, etc. How can we prevent these changes? So there is facilities in Google Chrome, which you can lock. You can actually have a parent controlled Google Chrome. That means they can't delete their history, their site history and so on. But I would suggest if you want that, use Google. If you use that Google Family Link, that's a really powerful tool. You can see what they've gone on Google Chrome. And then once even if they delete it, their history, it takes a separate copy so you know what the sites they've been on. I mean, there's tools such as in private browsing, which basically doesn't track what site, it doesn't keep a record. But with Google Family Link, if you set it up correctly, you still can get a copy of what sites they've been on, even if they're using in private browsing. But you have to make sure it's all set up on those devices they use in order for that to happen. How to reduce addiction to phone and TikTok? What a good question, which I regularly will say is a topic for my A-level students, my IB students in year 12 and 13. It is something as a problem, and I do complain to my learners who stay up really late on their phone. Again, I fall sometimes into trap and my sleep is affected and so on, but that's why and now before I go to bed, I try not to refrain to use technology in the first place and just read a book. Again, I think that was the last session that was done by Mr. Lindsay, our psychology teacher, about sleep. Again, it's having that conversation with the child. We have the conversation about adequate sleep, but also I would say we talk about gaming addiction and use of technology, addiction to using technology and so on. But at the end of the day, it comes to their well-being, their social well-being. The lack of sleep will affect their grades in school and also their concentration levels and so on. I talk about those things much that any other teacher would. It's a non-subject specific issue. But again, ground rules say, I mean, in my opinion, again, it's okay to say no to a child. It's good to put those boundaries in there. You're not having your phone after 10. I mean, when I'm at home, normally at home when it comes to family dinner, my mum's quite didactic, an approach where she collects everybody's phones and puts it in a pot so we can't have it. We have our no phone. And to be honest, I respect it. It's my mum's rules. And we have a nice conversation. And again, that's what my mum puts in place. Again, I can't tell you exactly what you can put at home in place to reduce their usage. But again, you know what's right and wrong essentially in terms of their use of the technology. Talk about it with them, put those boundaries in place. Any other questions? I enjoy talking. I've been doing that quite a lot. Is any other questions of e-safety or anything that we can follow up? But I'll just also reiterate, all these materials will be available on the parent portal at the end of the day, all the materials, also the recording. So I'm just going to pass it on to my colleague. I think it's Sophia or Zoe, is going to close the session, if they're still there.
Yes, hello. Thank you, everyone. And as Kyran said, thank you so much. We will be uploading all the material to the parent portal. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you,
everybody.
Kyran.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Thank you.